Kia ora Aotearoa, welcome whānau to bombersblog, the war on news, your weekly sacred cow slaughtering assault on current affairs beamed live from the palatial Stratos news bunker buried deep beneath the heart of the Greyland Republic. In tonight's political media crimes against reason kill zone, the Eye of Mordor descends upon Wellington, my precious. Mummy and Daddy get to send their spoilt little bundles of joy to private schools on your tax dollar, and queer eye for an eye for the defence of a straight guy. Plus, this week's Wanko of the Week and the Barack Obama People's Hero Award. Leading the war on news this week, brothers and sisters. Hands up if you don't think news stories about the latest Harry Potter movie is actually a news story at all, and is really a bloody advert for the Harry Potter movie, bonused in as a news story after the movie distributor books their advertising schedule. Which explains why there isn't any room in the news bulletin for our first media crime against reason this week. Folks, why is the Eye of Mordor in Wellington? This week, Lieutenant General Keith Alexander, the head of the National Security Agency, our favourite hegemonic American online Big Brother spy department who makes the Nazgul look liberal, was snapped in Wellington on an unannounced visit. The NSA, who we slavishly run the Waihope spy base for as part of America's echelon network that illegally and secretly spies on every email, phone call, fax and text message you or I send in this part of the world, isn't a department that visits lightly. Lieutenant General Keith Alexander doesn't go to see people. He's someone you go and see. Sometimes willingly, sometimes renditioned in the back of a CIA chartered private jet to a secret torture prison in Eastern Europe. Who was Lieutenant General Mumble meeting in New Zealand? You can't say his name 3 times or else Echelon picks it up and he materialises through an internet connection and murders you with his hook for a hand like the Candyman can. Someone as powerful as he is would be meeting the Prime Minister, but MC John Key was on his taxpayer-funded Pacific hip-hop tour, patronising the natives by calling them children, and so wasn't in the country. Another question to ask is, why would the digital Eye of Mordor be in New Zealand during one of the largest cyber attacks in recent American history, which is currently being blamed on North Korea? By the way, doesn't it worry anyone that if North Korea are responsible for the cyber attack on America, that means North Korea has faster download speeds than we do? Doesn't having the head of the NSA in Wellington unannounced seem as fishy as the 2006 50th birthday of the New Zealand Secret Intelligence Service when the heads of the CIA, Australian SIS, Australian SIO, the Canadian SIS, MI6 and MI5 all came together to celebrate 50 years of New Zealand spying on the sex lives of Keith Locke and Sue Bradford? You might think the media would be curious to pursue such an interesting story down the rabbit hole, but the Weekend Herald was too busy blind test tasting Whittaker's and Cadbury chocolates after Whittaker's claimed they tasted better. Oh, the humanity! 22 people took part, with 11 preferring Cadbury, 7 liking Whittaker's, 3 didn't have a preference, and 1 had a sugar rush causing diabetic shock. It took 4 AUT communication students, 2 graduates from Jim Tully's journalism school, and a freelance photographer from Bangkok to complete this blind chocolate taste test, meaning it was the most resourced news story the Weekend Herald has run this year. Speaking of the Eye of Mordor, Rupert Murdoch's evil media empire was shaken this week by claims that the News of the World toilet paper had Big Brother thousands of celebrities by hacking into their phones and spying on them. This might explain why our very own Minister of Broadcasting, Dr. Jonathan Coleman, handed over to Rupert Murdoch TVNZ 7 and TVNZ 6 without requiring Sky to make Prime free to air on government-owned Freeview. Some claim the Mount Albert Sun Tzu strategist, whose broadcasting policy was only 362 words long, that's not a policy, it's a text message, wouldn't be smart enough to have secrets worth blackmailing him for, but screwing public broadcasting by giving Freeview's competition the only point of programming difference without reciprocal sacrifice would be as counterproductive as attending a concert at a corporate box paid for by Big Tobacco when you are the Associate Minister of Health. Moving on far now. Won't somebody think of the children? Ronald McDonald's girlfriend and Miss Education Minister Anne Tolley, the woman who forced junk food back into schools because it was politically correct not to serve unhealthy sugar-laden shit to our children. Can I have fries with that upsized sellout combo, please? Is handing out 35 million of taxpayer money to the private education industry, as if rewarding wealthy national supporters with a tax cut that favoured the rich wasn't enough. Anne Tolley is propping National's favourite elitist education system up against advice from the Treasury. Surely, if you are rich enough to alienate your child by having them raised by a private school while you swan around as a master of the universe, you should pay the price of that choice. I thought National were all about this user pays stuff. Why is it that the user doesn't have to pay when the user is their mate? Why the hell should we, the taxpayer, be called upon to bail these rich folk out? If mummy and daddy are having a hard time in the recession, welcome to the rest of New Zealand. Send your precious bundle of joy to the state school you currently fund through general taxation, you snob. Calling on taxpayers to subsidise the private education of your silver spoon implanted youngsters, who will soon be appearing on MTV's Sweet 16 program, where children from rich families whom you wouldn't piss on if they were on fire get to wallow around in their own gratuitous selfishness as they celebrate their 16th birthday, is like asking taxpayers to subsidise your next new model BMW purchase because the recession has meant no more caviar toothpaste or gold-plated toilet paper for your soft, dainty bottom anymore. Like 5% of New Zealand, that doesn't work. You want to send little Richie Rich off to a private school, you pay for it. With none of that, then I pay taxes to the public system, give me their tax back so I can choose. Bullshit. We all pay for the education in this country, and if you want to go above that, it doesn't come out of the cost of your current contribution, it comes on top of it. That's the responsibility of that choice. Now give us that 35 million back, you cheeky buggers.